crying out for democracy.
Now it's time to take a stand, yeah.
Come on! Cause this is the revolution, the people's revolution. This is the revolution. I wanna hear everybody sing. Everybody sing freedom. Man and woman sing freedom.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable political leader of the UNC, Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, all other distinguished members of the United National Congress, a very good evening. Ladies and gentlemen gathered here, those of you at home, and the thousands connected via the World Wide Web, we meet at this virtual forum when Trinidad and Tobago is in its worst economic and social state in 40 years. We are enduring the most brutal hardship of our lifetime because the country is led by a most out of touch, mentally weak, and intellectually bankrupt group of people led by Dr. Keith Rowley and the People's National Movement. Since 2015, the real GDP has contracted by 16%. What does this mean? This means that we as a country is producing less. To the man on the street, it means that his pockets are feeling the pinch of higher prices. His job opportunities have dwindled, and a greater sense of despair and hopelessness now threatens his family's survival. As a result, our national debt is so high that the Rowley government has mortgaged the lives of our children and grandchildren to service these loans. When Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar was Prime Minister, the foreign reserves were US $11.5 billion, one of the highest in the world for a small island state. Under this Rowley-led government, the energy sector continues to decline. Point leases is becoming a white elephant, and energy services companies are struggling to stay afloat. This Rowley-led administration has sent up the cost of fuel 4 times, while there have been meaningful efforts to restart Petrotrin at a time when the refinery can earn us precious foreign exchange. Today, due to this government's disastrous policy making, 7 years later, we are still importing most of what we eat because the government has blatantly neglected the agricultural sector, as exposed by MP Ravi Ratiram. Under this PNM, Trinidad and Tobago have become the least attractive business investor destination in the Western Hemisphere. Haiti, the poorest nation in the hemisphere, ranks better than Trinidad and Tobago, thanks to Minister Imbert and Prime Minister Rowley. Under Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar's leadership, foreign direct investments amounted to $10.38 billion, the highest in Trinidad and Tobago's history. Her government created an enabling environment for investors. The last time the minimum wage was reviewed was by Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar's government. Public officers today are still expected to live and thrive on 2013 salaries, while inflation is rising each month. Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar had brought price relief on food staples through various means. She had given special support to the elderly, the sick, and single parents. A reconfiguring of the URP saw single parents with children with autism, cerebral palsy, and other critical illness earn a stipend a day to stay home to take care of these children. That is what caring leadership looks and feels like. Recently, a report presented by the Commonwealth Foundation, a non-partisan think tank focused on public policy, stated that in 2020, over 20% of Trinidad and Tobago citizens live on or below the poverty line. The report also stated that 11% of the population is undernourished. And for information, the food poverty line index for Trinidad and Tobago is $8.22 per day. So what that means is that these people cannot afford 3 square meals a day or to even buy essentials like medicine. So let that sink in for a minute. 20%, which is equal to about 300,000 citizens, live on $8.22 per day as of 2020. Now that is not the UNC saying this. This is not Kamla saying this. This is an independent research organization that has presented that data. My friends, growing up, my mother always told me, if you fail to prepare, than prepared to fail. That simple yet profound statement is something we can all agree with. So it is clear that through their inaction, lack of preparation, lack of policies, this PNM government is telling the citizens of our nation that they are fully prepared to let the nation fail as long as they can enrich themselves, their friends, and their finances. That is their true plan. Business people and homeowners today now have to invest in armed personnel and security equipment to try and stay safe. How does 13 murders over a weekend encourage foreign investment? How does the tear gassing of citizens in Queen's Park West create a climate for the safety of foreign wealth and assets? Our roads are in the worst condition in the Western Hemisphere. Landslides and broken down bridges are a dreadful fact of our daily lives. Communities in the Southeast Coast can collapse into economic ruin if critical and urgent repairs are not executed immediately on the Naparima-Miaro Road. The Naparima-Miaro Road is the only thing collapsing faster than this government, ladies and gentlemen. The lack of dredging on our waterways and the overall neglect of our infrastructure is not only causing floods and wrecking homes, but crippling farm production, thus driving prices up. My fellow citizens, there have been no efforts to steer the economy away from its dependence on the declining energy sector. The manufacturing sector has been appealing for various support and incentives to expand production. We need to make the e-tech parks more non-energy export-oriented. We simply need to boost foreign exchange. Tourism remains a non-starter. While all other Caribbean destinations are again thriving after the COVID-19 lockdown, we are firing our tourism experts because they refuse to engage in acts of corruption and malfeasance. It is no wonder why a watered-down version of the procurement legislation will remain hidden from the sanitization of daylight. My brothers and sisters, that allows them to hand out huge contracts to their friends and financiers without taxpayers knowing the facts. As you are aware, after successive years of economic mismanagement under Minister Imbert, prices took a massive jump as a result of the supply constraints out of Europe. Combine that with climate change, higher cost of fertilizers, and shipping issues have created the perfect economic storm. Many international organizations are including the words famine and malnutrition in their prediction for the coming months. Now, what does this mean? This means there could be widespread starvation and hunger away and at home. It means some students would not be able to achieve their full potential in an already collapsed education system should their proper dietary needs not be met. We advised in the parliament, we advised this government in and out of the parliament about the state of affairs and begged them to take urgent and critical steps to improve food production. But as of today, the government remains asleep at the wheel. Our 2020 National Transformation Master Plan outlined key strategies in making our country self-sufficient for food production. In that master plan, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar gave the assurance that the minute the UNC returns to government, we will immediately lease 25,000 acres of former colony lands to create agricultural parks. Lands in strategic areas will be contracted to registered farmers and private sector investors to plant food. The government's annual public sector investment program, the PSIP, would be used to improve agricultural access roads, drainage, irrigation for these agricultural parks. The agricultural insurance protection system will be developed to support farmers to combat losses due to erratic weather patterns spurred on by climate change. Brothers and sisters, these form just an outline of a holistic program to boost food production, to provide nutritious meals and reasonable prices to our nationals. Brothers and sisters, there is also an urgent and critical need for fiscal strengthening. This must be a critical component of the 2022 fiscal plan going forward. The government must take the necessary steps in establishing a rules-based fiscal framework. This suggestion is being made against the backdrop of 12 consecutive years of fiscal deficits and a ballooning ratio of transfers and subsidies. Many countries today now use fiscal rules to maintain a straight and narrow path to fiscal discipline and proper economic management. The number of fiscal rules per country have increased in the last 2 decades to an average about 3. In Trinidad and Tobago, the government must look to establish one, a fixed ceiling debt and servicing target, an overall balance rule, and an expenditure rule that is going to constrain and put in a boundary the way governments have to operate in terms of dealing with fiscal measures. This will be legislated, allowing for a stronger legal basis to make fiscal rules more durable and credible. Many countries today have gone as far as to put in place formal enforcement mechanisms in order that rules will span successive governments into the medium and long term. My friends, I want to just change a little bit about a current issue. I want to remind you of an article written by Curtis Williams in the Business Guardian in 2021 entitled, "It is time for Imbert to go." And it reads like this: "Colm Imbert has failed as finance minister. There is no other way of saying it. He must do now the honorable thing and resign, since it is clear that Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley will not do so, and he will not do what he must know is in the best interest of the country and sack his finance minister. The fact is, the present minister does not and cannot engender confidence and that he has any real plan to fix the economic woes. He just does not have the ideas, skills, or open-mindedness to solve problems. The last 6 years have proven that Imbert has already taken us down the road to perdition, with the real prospect of hell facing us unless we do something quickly. The PNM likes to accuse everyone who doesn't support them of being unpatriotic. There's a famous saying by Samuel Johnson, and it goes, "Patriotism is the last resort of a scoundrel." Brothers and sisters, was Minister Imbert being patriotic when he refused to follow the law and for 2 entire years hid from Parliament the annual report of the National Insurance Board from the people of Trinidad and Tobago? But do you know who was the patriot? The person who took Imbert to court and demanded he follow the law? That patriot was none other than Kamla Prasad Bisesa. And it is only because of her patriotic actions that those reports are public today. Brothers and sisters, was Minister Imbert being patriotic when he reported in the Trinidad Guardian on September 2nd, 2021, there was a nefarious plan to give indemnity to PNM members on the NGC board after they lost $440 million. That story was exposed by reporter Curtis Williams. This is the same reporter the PNM like to bash over and over again. That reporter, Curtis Williams, he is a true patriot because, as we have seen lately, being a reporter is a hazardous job under the PNM. Is Minister Imbert being a patriot when he laughs that he raised gas prices on poor people and they have not rioted yet? Is Imbert being a patriot when he's effectively forcing poor and middle-class families into paying property tax at the worst economic time in our history, while he himself is selling luxury penthouses? Imagine Rowley told this country that the reason we don't have foreign exchange is that doublesmen waste in the foreign exchange. He said that, that is what the government said. According to the PNM, doublesmen wasting foreign exchange, small business wasting foreign exchange, foreign used car dealers wasting foreign exchange. But you know who, according to the PNM, not wasting foreign exchange? There's a foreign company called Cornerstone Financials. Them not wasting foreign exchange. FCB is giving that company a $45 million US loan. But I know my colleague, Senator Mark, our stalwart in the Senate, has been exposing this issue magnificently. So I will leave that for him to do later on. I know he has much more information to say on this matter. My brothers and sisters, there used to be a giant company called Enron, which was committing enormous fraud. That fraud was exposed when a reporter from Forbes asked the Enron executives a simple question: How does Enron make money? Well, that question sent the whole Enron board into panic because it turned out that Enron wasn't making money. The whole company was just running profit on paper and did nothing. So I have a simple question for Minister Imbudt. What does Cornerstone Financial actually do? What productive business are they engaged in? It's a simple question. Very easy one to answer. Surely the minister, if he thinks that giving that foreign company $45 million in Forex is a good deal, especially at a time when local businessmen are struggling for Forex, I'm sure he can answer that simple question. So brothers and sisters, in conclusion, there's so much more innovative ideas to put Trinidad and Tobago back on track to prosperity, but time will not permit. I am totally clear that the PNM and the Rowley-led cabinet is fully appraised of what needs to be done. The problem is they just don't know how to do it. Keep our flags flying high. Continue to mobilize your friends and the community. Let everyone know that better days are coming with the United National Congress. Long live our distinguished political leader and other officers of our great party, our loyal members, supporters, and well-wishers. Long live Trinidad and Tobago. God bless all of you. Have a very good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Everybody sing.